as we pick up on the meeting and begin with the meeting. And I wanted to do a first slide that I actually kind of wanted to show is actually courtesy of you, Jude, in terms of your sharing this article that was in the New Yorker about Christmas trees up in Maine. And I excerpted from this article this little bit here about Christmas trees and the history of Christmas trees. I wasn't aware that it had such a it was such a huge debate, right? In the various Protestant versus Catholic religions, right? As to what kind of trees you would have on this. And the fact that the Vatican didn't even have a tree until 1982, for sure. Who knew? So that Christmas wasn't a school holiday until 1870. I mean, holy cow! This is actually pretty relatively new. All that we're thinking about here in this. Jude, any other comments you wanted to share from the article? Again, I appreciate you sharing it. You're on mute.
I can unmute. It was tremendously interesting to me to see how things have evolved, not just in nature, but in what human beings do to go from all of this, and how fast Christmas has developed in this country. And here is our dear President Sabine is just faulting, no, I'm not going to participate. Sabine, wake up. It's Christmas. Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, we all have our own money. We all buy the stuff we want throughout the year. Spending time is precious to us.
There you go.
Indeed, I agree with you 100%.
So there's got to be a bah humbug in every group here, right? That's what we're talking about.
I'm the one.
More the merrier.
I'm the token one.
Okay, so we're going to jump into the meeting, and we have a lot to talk about, even though we do not have an official speaker for today's meeting. However, I think you'll see from the slide deck, there's a lot going on this month. So let me begin, obviously, with recognizing birthdays, and we always shout out specifically Connie's birthday, as on New Year's Eve, right? Because so Connie always gets a great party, right, by having a birthday on December 31st. So that's one thing you can always count on. So actually very few birthdays, in December: Amy, Michaela, Tanya, and Connie. So a quick reminder here, and Brenda, I know you're on if you want to have any comments here about this is the time for recommitting ourselves to the Master Gardener program. And I believe everyone at this point should have received emails, right? All the veterans should have received emails asking us to go to Give Pulse and recommit. And it's an incredibly easy process this year. Since there's no paper, it's all online. Brenda, do you want to offer any comments, any other thoughts and coaching?
Well, first of all, not everyone has received their emails yet because not everyone has their hours in. So that was an incorrect statement. I am still plowing through. Elena just verified another several hundred impacts last night or Sunday night. And so I'm now reviewing again. Feel free to send me an email if you know you have your hours done and are expecting this invitation. But if your hours are not in and recorded, you will not get an invitation to recertify. So please get them in.
Okay. So it's just the key thing, what I'm hearing from you, Brenda, is that, you'll be sending more emails out once hours are verified. But if you believe that if you already get your hours in, go ahead and ping you and check on it.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. I'm still working through the list, and a couple members knew that they were done and brought it to my attention. So I jumped ahead on my list and went ahead and sent theirs out, and I'm more than willing to do that. But we still have a lot of members that do not have their hours in. So I'm starting to get a little concerned.
Okay, so this is a good point here, by the way, for all of us on the call to ping everybody else here, right? And try to remind everybody to get those hours in. Sharon, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I do. The question I have is, does this meaning you have no hours in, or you have at least enough hours to qualify? So what's the criteria for getting the recommitment?
Just that if you have your hours in that you are required to complete. So for emeritus, that would be 6 hours, 5 of continuing education and 1 of program support. And then the active certified master gardeners need to complete 35 hours, 10 of which, a minimum of 10 in continuing ed, and an additional 25 in the others. And I also want to clarify for any interns on this call, these comments do not apply to the interns.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
any other comments on this thing? So that's a, by the way, I was salute you, Brenda, and salute the process, because it's a very simple process to get online, right? And just to go through the check boxes here. So, you know,
Yes.
so it's, you know,
It's all the behind the scenes work that is massive amounts of time.
yep. Okay, very good. So so again, ping you if you think your hour's in, but you've not received an email from you with that link.
That's correct.
Okay, a quick walk around the December to-dos. This is again from Oregon State. Again, their gardening calendar is very complete, you know, and we salute what they're talking about here with respect to the month-by-month guidelines. So, you know, I don't think we had any super cold frost days yet. But again, there's a lot of concern here about, you know, making sure you're not tromping through your landscape, you know, with it until they have to melt it on the frost in here. Time to get your flower bowls checked. You know, I know that here on the coast we get a lot of rot with all the stuff we store, and so it is important to throw out, you know, any kind of bulbs and anything you're storing that is rotting away. In terms of pest and so forth, this is the mulching time, and you know, remember that common problem to prevent is don't make a mulch volcano, and making sure that you're clearing the mulch away from the base of the shrubs and the trees. And this is such a common error that we see a lot of home gardeners doing, and just spreading the mulch and mounding it up against the trunks. Then, of course, time to plant, you know, and this is it is a great time to be outside if you can indeed tolerate the wet at being out. It's a great time to move things around, given the fact that the roots will have solid chance to establish themselves prior to the spring. And of course, it's a great time to be thinking about what to do about the house plants as well, and making sure that you're thinking about repotting those and maintaining those, especially as the heat starts coming into the house, right? You know, it's going to be drier. They're going to be desiccated more quickly. So, you know, there's a thought here that, you know, there's a thought that we've got to be more thoughtful about our house plants than perhaps during the summer and the fall, spring. Okay. I want to open it up to the group here. Any announcements, by the way, from anyone? I know there's probably a lot of holiday plans and holiday events. I know that you know that folks had a good time last Saturday at the brunch, right? That was offered. So just opening it up for anybody here. Announcements, comments that anybody wants to share?
Well, I'll just reiterate what I put in the e-news about safety. There's so many things that we don't think about when we're working in the plant clinic or in the gardens or doing workshops or presentations. Apparently the accident reports have skyrocketed to Jim Croft in the last few months, and he just wants us to take this time, you know, if not this month, next month, to look at the greenhouse or the sheds that we have, or look at pathways, you know, hoses, tripping hazards. They all lead to falls, and some of them have been pretty substantial. So take this time to look at your plans for the spring, for January, starting in January. What can you do to make sure that our volunteers are being safe as leaders? What can you do? I just thought about, workshops, or thought about, home and garden show where you're climbing up on a ladder, decorating or whatever. Just make sure that you are being aware of what possible hazards there are. Hoses on the ground, you know. Um, and then the other thing that he said, which I thought was kind of a duh, was too many of the accident reports, when they call the ER, they don't know what the address is. So saying it's the demo garden in Owaco may be okay for us, but it may not be okay when you're in another area. So make sure that make sure that the leaders of whatever activity it is have written instructions on what to do, who to contact, the phone number, in case there is an accident.
Good thoughts, Alina. Good thoughts. Any comments from anybody at regarding safety or other recommendations that folks have? Because I got to admit is that I've already been that I've been finding it's that as I clean up a lot of garden stuff, I find old nails and things that I end up pricking myself with, right? So it so I mean and of
Get
course
your shot.
get
Your tetanus shot. That's one of the most important things you can do before you work in the garden.
there you go. And Dr. Shin, do you have any advice, any health advice, the safety advice you want to share with the group? Well, we'll come back to you. Anyway, thanks for the shout out, Alina. Any other announcements? Any other comments and things that folks want to share here today?
I would have one. It's a little off topic, and it's probably only interesting for people in Ocean Shores. Let me put the camera on too, so you can see me. We are, if you don't buy any presents like my family does, there's a way to do good for the food banks, because the North Beach Singers have their concerts this coming Friday at 7 o'clock and on Saturday at 3 o'clock. There is no admission for the concert, but donations for the food bank, cash donation or food donation. Cash donations are preferred, and I'm not supposed to say that. But if you want to have a little holiday spirit, it's really great. We have a concert, there's a sing-along, and on one of those days, we even have little refreshments afterwards. So if you have no plans this weekend, still want to do something good in an easy way, meet fellow good doers, this weekend it is. And I'm saying it because I'm a member of the North Beach Singers, so I'll be there and do my job.
Very good. It's a good reminder for everybody that food bank needs and are really up this season. So it's a great opportunity for donations to all of our local food banks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, I wanted to go through a few slides here. We had it was interesting, some questions that I've been hearing over the past fall about the differences between the Master Gardener program and who we are as a foundation. And just a couple slides here that just should be basic and should be easily understood. But I want to make sure that that once again we have a chance to clarify. We're gathering here today as the foundation, as a separate group of folks associated with the Master Gardener program. And so the Master Gardener program, right, which we are recommitting ourselves to, as we talked about earlier, again, is the WSU extension activity, right, that is sponsored by the school. And its mission is very clear, right, to engage us as trained volunteers to get involved in our communities with respect to unbiased, research-based information that we are sharing. So that contrast with us as a foundation. So as a foundation and gathering here today with Sabine as our president and other officers that we talk about, we are a separate 501c3 corporation. We are recognized by the IRS as a nonprofit. We actually pay dues to license our corporation with the state of Washington. And we have a relationship, right, with the WSU Master Gardener program, because our mission, right, is to support the program through our financial resources, the financial activities we create, the continuing education we provide, and coming together as volunteers. And it's a note. There's a key note here in that last paragraph here, is that we as a foundation, we are providing 100% of the financial support necessary to keep the Master Gardener program going in our 2 counties. This is quite unique, by the way. To my knowledge, there's no other foundation in the state that has entire responsibility for financial support for the program that we are carrying. So this is, again, meant to be contrast between, the Master Gardener program that we are recommitting ourselves to, and the foundation, which we are collectively working together here to support the work we're doing. So as a reminder then, is that as a foundation, we do meet to elect officers to run our corporation, to run our little nonprofit. And that, of course, is typically held in our bylaws. It's supposed to be held at the October meeting. Well, we didn't, our October meeting was virtual. So you notice we pushed out and we pushed out a ballot to everybody. And a reminder then that, that this is the 2022 elected board that was elected and has been serving through 2022. And in that board, there are 2 county reps that indeed have. There are 2 county reps that are selected by the individual groups. And a change we made this year is that we introduced the Grays Harbor community, or the Grays Harbor group, or the Greater Grays Harbor organization. And so the leaders of those 3 groups, right, are going to be selected by those geography teams. And each of those, the director that is elected from each of those groups, right, will serve on the board, right, as a representative and as a voting member. So again, a reminder that our 2022 board was here. We have a few more days of serving in our 2022 roles. The drumbeat, of course, is that in terms of what's going to happen for the 2023 board, and it's very similar to the 2022 board. And no surprise, right? So many of us actually serve, for multiple years. So Sabine was our president this year. A president-elect is an open slot. It's an open vacant slot ready for your name here. And I will serve as vice president. Lori is our secretary. Renee and Sharon share the treasurer role. Karen, Kathleen, and Sharon Go Lightly are representatives to the state foundation. Margie and Lori will deal with program support and hospitality. And the team Terry, Terry and Robin and Rhonda will manage our public events. You'll notice there's some change in the structure here because we have our counties, because we went to a Greater Grays Harbor organization, in addition to North Beach and Pacific County. We shuffled some of the roles around on the board so that the board's actually a little leaner in terms of overall organization, covering all the functions. So again, Jan and Valerie, you're serving as the interim head of the Grays Harbor community, and so Sheila's running at North Beach. Sabine, you have your hand up.
Yes, am I on? Yeah, I'm unmuted. We just discussed yesterday we had a little breakfast with Master Gardeners, and we discussed if there are still people who'd be interested as president-elect if they can still be elected now, or how could they be called in? Because there are people who just were interns and just became master gardeners. They are a pretty good gung-ho group, and maybe we can approach them, because I would love to see succession going. So if we were to find someone, how would it work to still plug those people in?
Per the bylaws, right? You know, our existing board, we can elect vacancies, right? So we
That's
can
what I
elect
thought.
individuals to vacant slots.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just I needed some confirmation and not giving out fake news. Okay, thank you.
So that's
I
a
think we'll approach, yeah,
that's a good shout out. Let's corral these active
Right.
2022 crowds. I mean, I think I think Scott and Lou would make a great, you know,
Yeah.
president-elect team out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go.
No, I got a job for them already, Kelly.
No. Overruled, vetoed. I will contact them, because we have some good people who are willing to step up, and maybe I'll be able to find someone.
Mhm.
Definitely, and I'll do that before Christmas for sure. Thank you.
And Valerie, I want to
I have to say that Scott and Lou have agreed to be plant clinic heads with
Okay.
my
Hey.
help.
congratulations. Yeah, that's super.
I need them to be there.
No, it's okay. I bow to you. You beat me to it. Okay, I won't talk to them. Promise.
Valerie, do you want to? I want to give a shout out to the Greater Grays Harbor Group, and any update you want to provide to the group here at large regarding the organization you guys are having around the Grays Harbor Group.
Yes, all of our committee people are busy scheduling meetings. We've had scheduling meetings for 2023 activities, volunteer activities for Master Gardeners and for our community. Here, a lot of it's centered around the Elma Demo Garden, but there will be plant clinics over the, you know, at different venues in Grays Harbor. So Scott and Lou can speak to that, but yeah, we're all geared up. We all have volunteers, a list of volunteers who want to work for all the specific committees, all 5 committees. So we're covered. And Jude provided us with a job description for director / president of our Greater Grays Harbor organization. So hopefully we'll get on to electing someone to that position soon.
Very good. So you're still the interim director.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Kelly, can I just do a shout out for the website calendar? Now that we have more people scheduling events, you know, in Greater Grays Harbor, in Pacific County, and in North Beach, we have a fabulous new website, pnwmg.org, for the public to log into, but we also have a volunteer area where our members can sign in, and the password is 4 Dahlia. And please put your events in there. Not all events get listed on eNews or discussed here at our meetings. And so Vivian Johnson is really encouraging us to put our events, all of our events, plant clinics, demo meetings, or working in the garden, all of those things, just so that people know what's going on.
Elena, we discussed that very issue at our Greater Grays Harbor Committee meeting on Sunday, and also yesterday at our workshop committee or other educational delivery committee. And we wondered if that would be feasible, because we've got a lot of stuff to schedule already. So shall we have, Wendy Balmer has volunteered to do a Google calendar for specifically for our committee leaders to schedule events. Shall I have her contact Vivian then?
Yes, please do.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to second, if I jump in here, please, because we discussed exactly the same thing yesterday too. Maybe we can, at the beginning of a meeting, mention, I'll be president, or I am, mention to just use this calendar because, and not just have our individual calendars for our regions, but truly a calendar for all events, because sometimes people
Right.
want to help somewhere else or interested in someone else's things. And it would really be a service to the whole organization if we had everything in a central place. So Elena, thank you for mentioning this and bringing it up, because I would have forgotten.
Absolutely understood, Sabine. And
Yeah.
mainly my question is, does Wendy need to coordinate with Vivian so Vivian posts the events, or will Wendy have access to our website calendar?
I think she should contact Vivian Johnson to find that out.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie.
Good deal. Let's keep those dates going. So again, a quick recognition, of course, and a thank you to both Brenda and Alina for continuing as our coordinators. And Tony, of course, is our faculty liaison. You know, a reminder that we've got to have these coordinators. Part of the WSU program, part of the Extension Master Gardener program requires us to have coordinators. And both Brenda and Alina have served now for several years and continue in that role of ensuring that we're pursuing the program, that the program is being managed through them. So it's a huge help in having them, having them with us here. Okay. So again, I talked about who we are as a foundation, and that really means to. I wanted to just do this last pep talk here as we think about 2023, and you think about the new roles and the new responsibilities and the new team that's coming into play here, both of our officers and our directors. You know, we are a service organization, and it's up to us to step up and engage as volunteers. So, I hope we're all thinking even now in terms of, how we want to participate and how we want to engage in the year ahead to fulfill our service obligation, as well, of course, as the hours we were required to complete as both in program and in continuing education throughout the year. So with this, I wanted to speak again to some of the outputs that came from our December 3rd strategy planning meeting. And so your board met on Saturday, December 3rd, together with other individuals that joined us. And we had a very productive session that was led up in Hoquiam. A key decision that we made was with respect to when do we want to meet as a group, as a foundation. And what we determined is that we definitely want to keep having all meetings being available for Zoom access, even though we actually do hope to start meeting together in face-to-face locations as we get into the new year. So our key plan was that we would continue to have meetings on Tuesday mornings, the second Tuesday of each month, except on the third month, we would go to a Saturday meeting. So it's a Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. That's how the year will unfold in 2023. And I've put up on this slide here is all the second Tuesdays and all the Saturday dates that we'll be having foundation meetings. So again, we hope to actually have these meetings begin to have more face-to-face physical meetings with a hybrid Zoom option. And we'll, when we've got to wrestle with where and when we would actually start those. So at present, right, plan on your January 10th meeting to be on Tuesday, the second Tuesday, and that'll be entirely virtual. And our hope is that going forward, right, maybe starting on Valentine's Day, February 14th, that we can go hybrid. Questions or comments from the group relative to these foundation meetings? So this is in contrast to the board meetings, right? So historically, we've always had our board meet after the foundation meeting. It's just because it's been convenient, right? You know, we were all been gathered together, I say at Cosmopolis at the Lions Club, and it was just convenient for us just to continue the board meeting after the foundation meeting had ended. The challenge, of course, is that by having those meetings all during the day, all during a weekday, is that any of our members who worked, right, would have difficulty attending those board meetings. And so the plan for 2023 is that we will have our board meetings on the second Tuesdays, but beginning at 6 p.m. So they will all be virtual. They'll all be, by the way, it's open to everybody. Anybody can join, right? And join and come to a board meeting. But we'll be having all these meetings then on Tuesday evenings, again at 6 p.m. Okay. Again, questions or comments from anybody regarding our meeting plan?
Kelly,
Yes,
you
Helen.
might check the September date. The September 12th is a Tuesday.
Yes. And so it's not Saturday, is it? Yes.
It's not Saturday. So you
Well,
might figure out which Saturday it's going to
Well,
be.
I clearly, so yeah, my problem, those should all be on Tuesdays. So that this is my bad with the slide. So thank you, Helen. Yeah.
Okay. And Kelly, I'm glad you reaffirmed that all members can attend these foundation meetings, not just foundation members.
Yeah, not just board members.
Okay, but we're going to be starting to charge a fee for foundation members to be able to vote for officers that are running for election. But that doesn't preclude people that are not foundation members from attending the foundation meetings. Is
Oh,
that
yeah,
correct?
agreed. All of our meetings are open to the public. They're open to the public without charge. And mind you, that's a requirement of the WSU Master Gardener program, right?
Yeah.
That all programs of the Master Gardener program must be available to everyone without charge.
Because I've had questions raised by members that say, okay, now that we are going to have foundation members, can other members still attend foundation meetings? And I want to assure people that they can.
Most certainly, yes. And again, that is a requirement of being a Master Gardener program. This is perhaps a good time to address some of the questions. I know Clara and Helen have questions in the chat regarding the dues. And Sharon Coolish Bales, I guess I got to turn over to you regarding it, because we've instituted a dues program, as Alina mentioned, right, for individuals for the right then to participate in the election process. Do we have a plan yet in terms of how we want to collect those dues and process those?
Actually, we don't have a plan at this point. It was, the first piece was to put it into our budget. And in all honesty, the money isn't the issue at all. The money is just kind of a way of marking the fact that you pay, that you are a foundation member, because it isn't enough money and it's going to be a real hassle to do this, but we'll figure it out. But the real point, and you've been really clear about that, as a Master Gardener, you can do anything that you currently do, period. The only thing you can't do is vote for members of the board or be on the board. For those two items, you would need to be a foundation member.
So Sharon, a good comment there is from Helen's asking, is there possible to have a lifetime membership? You know, is that Helen can put in $1,000, so that'll take care of her for the next 100 years, right?
Yes, that would be wonderful. We haven't discussed that at all. I mean, that's something that, you know, the foundation board is going to need to discuss and decide.
So Sabine, let's put that on the agenda for January. Laura, you had
Okay,
your hand up.
I'll trust you'll do that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just kind of clarify, I guess, because I was taking minutes at the strategic planning meeting. And what I understood was the motion was to put the $10 dues in the budget, but it wasn't a final decision about the amount or to charge.
Right.
That is correct as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly, have you had a chance to get a hold of the two people we talked about to have for the January meeting that will give us a clearer picture of what a foundation is versus being just a Master Gardener? I should say just a Master Gardener. We're very important as Master Gardeners.
Yeah. No, I've not. I would hope that the presentation slides that I shared earlier, I'll get to you, Alina. I hope the presentation slides earlier would actually kind of resolve those questions, right?
They were good, Kelly, and I liked that. But I think it would be helpful to have the two people we talked about, the president of the state foundation and the state master gardener coordinator, talk about it, because there'll be questions that come up that we as a group here may not be able to answer.
Okay.
Okay, can I clarify that? I am talking with Jayla Smith, who is the program coordinator at Pierce County. The two people I understand that talked at that conference presentation were Jennifer Marquis, who's the Washington State Program Coordinator, and a lady by the name of Tana Haggart, and she's from Pierce County. And so I am trying to find out if Tana can come to one of our meetings, and as soon as I get her contact information, Kelly, I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So any other questions regarding it? So it sounds like on the dues, we have a budgetary amount, but with respect to the process, we still got to work that out.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Helen, you have your hand up and you have a laugh smiling emoji.
Forget the emoji. So the question, I have a question about the dues, and I'm sorry I missed some discussion that led to this. I understand that is this correct, that the purpose of the dues is to keep track of the people who are members of the foundation?
Yes.
Is that,
yes.
that's the only reason?
It has nothing to do with your membership in the program.
No, but why are we having dues? That's what I am asking. This has been one organization where we work our tails off to raise the money, and suddenly we're taxing ourselves as well. I do not understand that.
Does anyone who was on the on the bylaws committee, you talked about this, do you have a good succinct answer in terms of why we have dues?
I'm not sure that I have a really good answer. I think part of it is when you belong to an organization, most organizations have some type of dues. And we did not wish to set it at anything that was high enough to make it impossible for people to get in. And so that's why we really set it at kind of a minimum value. In fact, we originally talked about $5, which is, and then the board had decided that it would be 10.
So the Friends of our library have a $5 dues, regular annual. It's a token. We try to make our money elsewhere.
Right.
The Friends of Schaefer and Lake Sylvia, we have a minimum dues, or you can work it off. You put in so many hours, and like we're up there pulling ivy, and that counts towards our dues. It comes back to, if the purpose is just to get a head count, why do we have to do it with money? Or if the purpose is to get a head count, then do you want to say, okay, $10 and you're in there forever?
The purpose is truly, it sounds really very simple. It sounds almost like, well, what are these guys talking about? It is to truly distinguish foundation members from the general master gardener population. And we have had in the past was always, and I see it even with veteran master gardeners these days, that I'm diving deeper into this, that's always been a little bit fuzzy. What is the foundation? What's the master gardener program? Where are the boundaries? Where's this and that? And if 10 is too much, we can always go back to 5, but it gives us a very clear, at one glance, impression who is foundation member and who is not. And it's been going back and forth about this, and especially this not having this distinction between those 3 branches, if you will, foundation, master gardener program, and WSU. That's one way of determining it. And I think, I hate to say it, if someone has a hard time about the $5 per year, I'd be happy to pay it.
Yeah. And in the past, to tell the difference between one and the other? We just looked whether they had filled in a form or not, right?
Helen,
No,
Helen, speaking as a person that was in charge of recertification along with Elizabeth, people did not check that box for recertification. And so it was very difficult to determine whether you wanted to be a foundation member or not. And we had a separate form and we asked people to fill it out and return it. And people didn't do that. And so we're trying to come up, and I wasn't on the committee, but I'm telling you from personal experience, the committee is trying to come up with a way for people to intentionally commit to being a foundation member.
yes,
Yeah, and the best explanation I ever had was, well, we just need to do it.
thank
But
you.
that was for signing the paper in the first place. If we trust this organization, okay, they want to do it this way. If that is what we have to do, we do it. And I certainly admire you for trying to herd the cats.
Okay. Thank you, Helen, for your thoughts here.
Enough.
Clara, you have your hand up.
Yeah, this is just a comment. So when I was in the nominating committee, there are a number of people who are very active in foundation, and there's like one or two we found out that they were not a foundation member. And I don't think they meant to be not a foundation member, but just kind of fell off by the side. So
Yeah.
I think I do support some kind of way to keep track of a foundation member, whether that's a $1 membership or $10 membership.
Thank you, Clara.
Okay. So I'm sure we'll be talking about this in the future going forward. You know, change is always a challenge. And it's a good transition here to the proposed 2023 budget. And again, a shout out to Renee and to Sharon for having collected this already. And a reminder to every group and every committee that's not submitted their budget request for 2023, time to get that in by the end of the year. So this is the income snapshot that we expect for next year for 2023. So you can see that we have foundation dues that's supposed to be 75 without a dollar sign, but 75 at $10 would be $750. We're actually counting on additional grants. Those grants are from the Grays Harbor Tourism County grant that we typically get every year to support the Home and Garden Show. You can see that the planters and the plant sale, I mean, that's $9,000 worth of plants and planters, right, that we're expecting over the course of 2023. The vendor booths, $15,000 from the Home and Garden Show. So it's kind of showing, you know, that the Home and Garden Show, you know, has a huge, it's a huge revenue generator for us. So it's almost $40,000, right? You know, that we actually gain in terms of income is what we're expecting for income. By the way, this is our draft budget. This budget will be voted on and approved then at the January board meeting. So again, this is a preview of that draft budget. To that point, the expense line is almost also close to $40,000 at this point, right? So what we've got in here is that we've put some additional money into the website to make sure we've got a budget for the website to be maintained. We actually we actually will be you can see we actually have a scholarship program to our own master gardeners for them to attend training courses that require fees. So this is an expense we're putting on ourselves to fund our own members to attend trainings that may require fees. And so this is a kind of a scholarship program that we would award to our own members for those activities. We obviously intend to continue our student scholarship program. We have a number of advertising and promotional expenses that we have to get involved in for the Home and Garden Show and for the garden tour. We spend about $1,000 a year on liability insurance. This is insurance that for the public when they participate in our Home and Garden Show and in our demo gardens and in our garden tour to protect against liability issues there. We've made a commitment to give $500 to the State Foundation to support the 2023 education conference that'll be held next September. in Tacoma. And then we have perhaps the biggest expense you can see there is the honorariums, the $10,000 that go to Brenda and to Alina. This makes sure that they are earning at least 14 cents an hour for the work that they're contributing as coordinators, and again, it goes back to the fact that this is a key part of what we have to do as a foundation. We fund our program coordinators unlike any other county. So this is that's a clear. So the good news is that you look at the last slide and this slide, and we're in the black by about $200. Well, we quickly change that, because when you start looking ahead at what the county groups are doing in Grays Harbor, Pacific, and in North Beach, the extra expenses there that are budgeted for those demo garden and those demo activities lead us to a projected loss of about $5,000. So these are this is a projected loss that we anticipate. I want to note for everybody on the call, historically, when we prepare an annual budget, historically, our budgets also always look like we're going to be in the negative. So we actually do a very conservative budget here that anticipates a loss, but we usually break even or make more money based upon expenses being less and income being more. Sharon, do you have any comments you want to share with respect to the budget overall? And Valerie, I see you have your hand up. In fact, Valerie, let's go to you first here.
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly. I want you to be sure, and Renee probably knows, that the 1750 is by far not complete. That does not include 7,900 approximately for our demo garden. And each of the other 4 committees have chosen a $200 budget. So that information will be sent to Renee soon.
In fact, that ties to Clara's in the comment in the chat section here, is that so apparently Valerie, your budget data has not been given to Renee yet.
Evidently not.
Yeah.
I will do that right after this meeting.
Very good.
Thank you, because I know this was just preliminary, and we knew there was more money coming in from Grays Harbor. And more money
More
requests.
money going out.
Requests for money.
Going out.
Yeah.
Kelly, is this a good time to talk about Rhonda's information?
That was the next slide, actually. So
Oh,
this
okay,
is
thank
so there's actually kind of a bonus. Good. There's a bonus here. And this is why we're not so stressed out about whatever numbers go into the budget, is that Rhonda Kennedy very persistently pursued a grant that was offered from the Department of Commerce, and it offered from the Department of Commerce to support pandemic related expenses that were, that organizations incurred. And we've been notified we're going to receive over $12,000 from the Department of Commerce for this arts grant. Again, you'd like to think it was a simple process of simply filling out an application, but the criteria required to get these monies required Rhonda to spend weeks and hours of effort in getting this. So Sharon, yeah, go ahead.
I can vouch for that, because there was information she needed from Renee and I as treasurers, but there's also one of the hangups was that you had to have a physical address. Well, we have information, our records are kept at the extension office in Elma, but that didn't show up as a physical address. So we had to work things around, and we had to get our paperwork, meaning our bank statement, to have that same physical address. So it took a long time to get all of this done. And Rhonda just really worked hard with the government to figure out exactly what documentation we needed to make this happen. So if you see Rhonda, pat her on the back, give her a hug. This was a wonderful job that she did.
So we expect then with this grant award, as a plus as we get the final numbers on the budget, as being submitted, is that we'll probably be looking more at a break even, 2023, which is not a bad place to begin from where we've sat before. Any comments regarding the budget? Because again, this is very important as a foundation that our finances be very transparent, and that we make sure that we're, we're talking about the details here. Yeah, Scott and Lou, you're on mute. You can go to your little, yeah, there you go.
I was just wondering if Karen Russo put in our budget for the plant clinics, since we haven't really met yet and talked about that.
The answer is yes, Lou.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good deal. It would appear, based upon the $7,800 overall that I guess was coming in from Grays Harbor, that we're definitely going to, you'll definitely be having limo rides to your plant clinic locations.
That's all I wanted to know.
That's all you.
We don't have a car, so.
There you go. You'll Uber.
Oh, and I wanted to tell you that I have a birthday in December.
Oh, but if it's not on the roster, I'm not going to pick it up.
Okay.
There you go. So we've got to get that in the roster here. You
Yeah.
got to get that, feed that
I didn't
information.
get a present.
Well, look, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
When is it, Lou?
December 1st.
Oh, happy birthday.
Okay, everybody's saying now.
Happy belated birthday. that's for
Happy
sure.
birthday
Yeah.
to you.
Okay.
Happy
So a
birthday.
quick heads up then is that
Mute.
some other opportunities for some last minute continuing education hours is that the Washington State University, the forestry department is doing forestry lunch breaks. This is something new. They started it this week. So they had it's every day this week, right? And you can see every day on January 9th through the 13th, they're doing a half an hour Zoom about particular subjects. So this week it's all about trees, the trees of Washington. And in January, they're focusing on birds. So the key thing just to check out, if you're interested in these, and they're going to be 30-minute Zooms, and they'll be picking up today at noon. You'll see that here. And you can go just go to forestry.wsu.edu and you'll see these lineups there. So again, this is a great way. I shout out to the forestry department for this little outreach. These are meant to be simple, informative, and fun. And so this week on trees and the week of January 9th on birds. Okay.
And what was the
Address.
thing?
It was right there at the bottom, forestry.wsu.edu.
Okay.
Yeah. So remember, on most anything, just do a Google search, on WSU forestry or WSU Zoom, lunch Zooms. You'll figure it out. It's pretty
Okay.
it's pretty there. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. The next slide I wanted to get was just a quick reminder that with respect to donations, is that Amazon, has the Smile Amazon, and you can designate at Amazon, you can designate a nonprofit of your choice, right, to receive, 0.5% of everything you buy through Amazon. And it doesn't have to be the Master Gardener Foundation of Grays Harbor Pacific Counties, but you can see that that's what Bev and I donate to. And so, but I encourage you to take advantage. If you order anything from Amazon, let Jeff Bezos contribute a little bit to it, to the charity of your choice, right? So again, it's Amazon Smile, and it just jump onto Amazon, and you'll go through there and you can see where you can enter in the nonprofit of your choice. The other shout out is that both Safeway and Fred Meyer, perhaps other organizations, also have a charity program. And those of us here in Pacific County, we do a lot of shopping at Fred Meyer. And so that's another rewards program that's easy enough just to drive some money towards again, a charity of your choice. Sharon, do you have any comments regarding the overall amounts that we're receiving from these programs?
We get roughly, I think it's $20 to $30 a quarter from Amazon. Fred Meyer is more like $30 a year.
Yeah. So not necessarily a lot of money, but it's better than a sharp stick in the eye, right? So be
You're right
thinking
about that.
be thinking about it. And again, it doesn't have to come to you, but let Jeff contribute a little bit to it, to the charity of your choice. Okay, quick updates on dates here, making sure that we recall that our demonstration beds and our demonstration gardens need your support year round, right? And so I'm confident that everyone here in the call is engaged with the coordinators for their gardens or the beds and making sure that you're participating with them. Heads up is that the Home and Garden Show is on May 20th and the 21st. That's the weekend after Mother's Day for this year. That's an all hands on deck activity, as you know, huge money maker for us. And by the way, it's a huge economic development driver for Grays Harbor. So this is a big shout out to the fact that we host this event that provides a mega economic development opportunity for all the vendors that participate with us. So it's a big deal, and we're recognized as such, and all of our support as volunteers make it successful. The garden tour that will be in the Elma region this year, and it'll be probably in that third weekend of July. I don't have an exact date just yet. Any other dates that anyone wants to mention that we know right now we want to make sure we get on people's calendars for 2023?
Are all these dates going to be put out on some kind of the calendar that they were speaking of?
That's a great idea, Scott, is to make sure that we get all these official dates on, including Lou's birthday.
Right.
I mean, we want to make
Very
sure
good.
we don't miss December 1st next year, right?
I don't.
Yeah. You especially. Yeah.
And mine too, Kelly. I'm not on your roster either. I'm February 24, and I missed it terribly this year.
Well, you got to
You don't get presents.
You got to be on the roster. If you're not in the roster, I'm not going to find you.
Okay. I should be on the roster.
Well, maybe not the date is on the roster. Yeah.
Well, that's my secret.
Okay.
Turn 32 every year.
Hey, so the final.
Kelly,
Yeah, go ahead.
Kelly, let me interject here. The next time the roster comes out in January, people should be reviewing that. And if they see anything that is missing or incorrect, they need to let me know, please. Thank you,
Shout out.
including birthdays.
There you go. Birthdays, addresses, phone numbers, right? Incredibly important that be kept up to date. Exactly for some of the comments that even Alina was making earlier, you got to know who to contact, right? And there are times in which you do want to make an important contact. So yeah, shout out to Brenda then if there's anything coming out. Okay. So I wanted to close today with some other notes here, is that one of the things that we talked about at the November recognition luncheon was the new priorities, for the Master Gardener program beginning in 2023. And this is very exciting because this is the first time, for example, that WSU program is going to address climate change as a key part of our program. We're also going to be talking about clean water, water conservation, soil health, of great importance to us here, pollinators, local food, plant biodiversity, nearby nature, and wildfire preparedness. These emphasis points are going to be critical points of our education, of the Master Gardener Education Program going forward. And that this speaks to actually new training manuals that are being prepared by WSU. And this is going to be the content emphasis that I am going to use to build programs around our group foundation meetings. So these focuses, and so by the way, a shout out to everybody. If you have speakers or topics related to these themes that we want to bring forward and talk about as part of the foundation, as part of study group, right? That we want to definitely be picking up on that. In fact, Midge, you want to do a shout out right now with respect to, I know you've got plans for your study groups this month talking about some of these topics that relate to some of these topics.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't have a voice today, Kelly. So, yeah, our next study group in January will be on trees, and specifically what homeowners can plant, not giant trees, but just foundation planting trees. So with specific reference to climate change, water conservation, and trees that can help our pollinators. So
Most
sure
excellent. So it's a
everybody-
shout out. So do we have a date yet for that, the January study group?
yes, it's on January 16th, I think, which is a holiday. I don't have a calendar right here. I'm sorry.
It is the
Yeah.
16th. And the
Yeah.
the February one is also going to be related to all this, because we're going to talk
Right.
about nature's big chance to get improved by what we do.
And I know both those dates and the topics were included in the e-news. So again,
Right.
if you've not seen the Friday e-news, right, from John Coogan, make sure you give John or Katie a shout out, right, to make sure that you're receiving those e-news on a regular basis.
And who would like to volunteer to let Vivian know when these workshops or when these study groups are going to occur to put on the calendar?
Well, I think we had left it up to each of the committee members. So it should be our responsibility if we have something in the e-news that we should also let Vivian know.
Thank you.
Midge, get your voice back. Yeah,
I know.
it sounds painful.
Yeah.
It's not, but it just sounds awful.
So in the interest of time, you know, is that here's the key bonus here for today is that Katie Doonan, I had reached out to Katie Doonan. She has written the training curricula on climate change for the Master Gardener program. So Katie, I'd ask Katie to come and give us a presentation regarding, well, what does climate change mean and how are we supposed to deal with climate change as Master Gardeners and in dealing with the public? So she directed me, she was not available today, but she actually did a YouTube video with the Grant County and Adams County Master Gardeners. So this YouTube video, and by the way, if you just do a Google search on YouTube or do a search on YouTube for Katie Doonan, Grant Adams climate change, you'll find this video. This is an hours-long video. You can get an hour's continuing education credit for this year, or if you want to save this and start off your 2023, you know, continuing education hours by watching this video, you know, go ahead and tuck it away to a New Year's Day present. But this is actually very significant, again, because I want to emphasize that Katie wrote the manual that we're going to be following on climate change. So it's on YouTube. It's an hour long. Jude, you have a question?
Yeah. Do we have any idea when that might be made available to veteran Master Gardeners?
Uh-oh.
The chapter that
Alina's head is going east and west, which is not a good sign. Not north and south. It's
No,
east and
it's
west.
sure not.
Yeah.
We're still waiting with bated breath.
Very
Let's
good.
hope it's soon. Let's just collectively hope. Okay.
Yeah. So again, you have this video here that will that can, you know, is your continuing education hour for either this month or if you want to save it for next month. Very good. So that concludes the all the material I had here for today. And again, was that and so we can you know, I'll wrap the meeting up at this point unless there's further questions or further comments we want to share.
Not at this juncture.